Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And today marks a wonderful moment in the timeline of what is become popularly known as the central bank bond scandal. And that is because Sri Lanka's parliament will be debating the matter sometime this morning. And that has created, of course, great joy among some and consternation amongst others. But nevertheless, the consensus, of course, is that the matter requires a whole-scale debate, and that is what will be happening today. Also, this is on top of the news yesterday, of course, that President Maithripala Sirisena used his official tweet account to confirm that he would be that he is proposing to have a special presidential commission to look into the matters of the bond, what is become known as the bond scandal. Some say that it is one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated on the people of this country, whilst others are saying that at the very least it needs a wholesale investigation. And the President, of course, is going to be appointing a special presidential commission composed of 2 judges and a person familiar with audit, which is a reaction, a follow-on reaction, really, to what was being proposed at the time, which was for a forensic analysis of all those transactions that had taken place during that unfortunate period between February 2015 and May or March 2016. On a note, I believe we are going in for a short break.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali. Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Welcome back to Newsline. And this morning I'm joined by my colleague Stephanie Lazarus. Very good morning to you, Ms. Lazarus.
A very good morning to you, Faraz. How are you doing this
morning?
Very
good, thank you. And we are all invigorated because of this debate that's about to take place in Parliament later today. And joining us live by telephone, that wonderful instrument, is the former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. W.A. Wijewardena. And producer, have we got him on the line? Very good morning to you, Dr. Wijewardena.
Very good morning.
Dr. Wijewardena, this morning Parliament, or this today at any rate, Parliament will be debating the matter of the issuance of...
Very good morning.
Very good morning. Can you hear me, Doctor?
Yeah.
Dr. Wijewardena, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Dr. Wijewardena, what's your reaction to the news that Parliament will be debating the central bank bond issue today?
I can hear you, yes.
Dr. Wijewardena, what's your reaction to the news that the Parliament will be debating the central bank bond issue?
First of all, Faraz, we don't know whether there will be a debate in Parliament because the particular COP report has been challenged in the Supreme Court, and therefore the government might say that it's sub judice and the Parliament cannot, or Parliament debate on that. Besides that matter, what we have to say is that the Parliament debate will simply end up as a debate where the members of Parliament would divide themselves into 2 groups, and they will start hurling accusations against each other rather than critically examining the COP report. So at the end of the period, what matters is that the members of the public will simply come to know that the value of the COP report is not actually that high as suggested by the COP members, but it's being questioned by many parliamentarians, and therefore I don't think that it would lead to anything relating to the particular the bond scam that has taken place in the country. So what matters to us today is that if the Presidential Commission, as announced by the Presidential Secretariat, is appointed, and if that commission finds that certain parties are guilty, then of course the President can take action against those parties by directing the law enforcement agencies to take necessary action against these people. Other than that, the parliamentary debate will simply end up as a debate without any final conclusion, because it will simply be an exercise that could be used by parliamentarians.
Indeed.
to accuse each other of being partial or being impartial, and as a result, I don't think that it might lead to any particular matter in that respect.
But are you glad that at least the Parliament may be able to debate this matter?
Yeah, Parliament it's a debate that had been requested by the opposition, and the government has acceded to that particular request. So in that context, I feel that the government's accession to the debate may be a positive thing. But as we know, these parliamentary debates are always conducted without proper preparation, and therefore my feeling is that it might not lead to anything at the end of the day.
Well, that's rather sober news. Thank you very much for speaking to Newsline over the phone, Dr. Vijay Wardner. We do appreciate your time. We are also hopeful of getting on the telephone another commentator on the central bank bond scandal, and we'll let you know shortly on that
news. And in the meantime, we can have a look at the Daily Mirror as well.
Yes, and what does the Daily Mirror say to us?
JVP and the chief opposition whip has charged that there is a sinister move by the government to block the debate that is scheduled to happen today in Parliament. Well, just as former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, W. Vijay Wardner, mentioned, the opposition force is pushing really hard that the debate comes to the forum, the open forum. That's
well, yes, I think they're casting some doubt on this, Stephanie, because there has been an application made for a hearing in the Supreme Court, a fundamental rights petition. Of course, under normal circumstances, when that happens, everything else will be put on hold until the Supreme Court makes a decision. And now joining us on the phone is Mr. Rusipala Tenakon, himself a former senior banker, and he's on the line. Very good morning to you, Mr. Tenakon.
Good morning, Ms. Farah. Good morning.
And what is your reaction to the news that Parliament may well be debating the central bank bond issue today in Parliament?
Yes, Mr. Farah. It is a very, very interesting and important thing for us to hear what the parliamentarians have to say about this matter.
And do you think... Yes. Go ahead.
Because, there is nothing much to debate in the parliament on the bond issue itself, because it has been very well recorded, witnessed, evidence, examination of documentation, all that has happened, that it is now recorded. It's on record. So there is nothing much to debate about the scam. The whole country knows that there has been a wholesale massacre of the central bank's integrity, central bank, the profit-taking thing, and it has caused so much of loss to the government. All that has been established. But there is one other thing. The most important thing is there are politicians involved in this whole thing whose names have not been discussed, and people are not in a position to discuss that in public outside. Parliament is the best place. For example, the minister in charge of the subject, the Prime Minister, has been deadly silent on this matter, and it is the parliamentarians who will have the right to question him on this occasion.
And Mr. Risipala, it sounds it sounds very much that on the one hand you are saying that this debate is very necessary in Parliament, at least to have the parliamentary sanction. But also, you may have heard earlier Dr. Vijay Wardena, the former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, saying that in essence what he was saying is that these debates are very pedantic. There's nothing much going to happen from it. What do you have to say? Two differing views, really.
Yeah, definitely. My view for us is very, very clear, because the question of the debate on the scam itself is one matter, but the interest that the parliamentarians have to raise as parliamentarians of this country about the politics behind the scam is another thing. And I totally disagree. I'm unable to. I'm afraid I don't agree with Dr. Vijayawardena's statement that this has been as a request of the opposition. The debate is coming up. It is not so. The court report has been tabled in the Parliament, which warrants a discussion in the Parliament in the first instance after the report is submitted to the Parliament, because it is the Parliament that has decided unanimously to appoint the COPE committee. So when the report is submitted to the Parliament, I mean, if somebody is silently taking it to the Attorney General's Department, there is very much more to be done. So this is the role that the Parliament has to play. And now we'll see today, besides the appointment of the Commission, which is also the most important aspect in this, there is a certain area where the parliamentarians have to concentrate on the actions of the parliamentarians who are in the Parliament, who are responsible for certain aspects in this matter.
Mr. Risipala, I have a message from a viewer, a question from a viewer, who's posing the question here and asking us whether the government, led by the UNP, are working together to save the corrupt. The appointment of the Presidential Commission should be examined against the backdrop of a UNP, a monk who is known to support the UNP, moving the Supreme Court against the COPE report. Basically, that's the question. What do you have to say?
Yes, it is very clear for us. You know, from what has been happening from the beginning of this sordid affair, you know, from the day it started, we have witnessed how the UNP has been, the UNPers have been directed, and the UNP has been acting to evade the issue. So this appointment or this filing an action in the Supreme Court, and there's nothing to wonder. This is just another step in that whole activities, area of activities that they were engaged in on this matter. So, but this is politics. That politics apart, let the Parliament examine this in the perspective of the interest that the parliamentarians have to know over and above the recommendations of the COPE committee report. The committee report, from my point of view, I have examined all the volumes. I have gone through the witness evidence myself, one by one, and I am very much convinced that it is a sufficient report to establish that there has been a massive fraud in the Parliament. It also establishes one other thing. There has been a deadly silence by those who are responsible, who should have acted in a more ethically acceptable manner on the issues that have been raised. So let that matter be discussed in the Parliament today, not the pros and cons of the scam itself.
And Mr. Risipala, would you agree that the remit of any special presidential commission should be to whether it is to establish whether there has been an abuse or misuse of power, or whether there has been fraud, whether there has been corruption, or whether there has been any violation of any provisions in the Monetary Law Act, which the former governor, Arjuna Mahendran, the hand-picked choice to be the governor at the time, whether he is guilty of any of these. An abuse or misuse of power, fraud, corruption, or a violation of any provisions of law. What do you say to that? Is that what they ought to be looking at?
No, you see, exactly the parliament by itself cannot inflict punishment or, take punitive action by itself. So we must know what the rights and the area within which the parliament can act. The parliament can make certain recommendations. But I am now happy to hear that the president has appointed a special commission of inquiry, which is the body finally, even if they debate it or not in parliament, that is where it has to go, because in order to impose punishment actually and justifiably or according to justice to determine who is responsible and for what he is responsible and how he should be punished, it's a matter before a judicial body. So that aspect has been now looked into. So therefore, let us wait and see how the commission is going to function. And people like you and the others who have been very vociferous on this issue, I'm sure you will have a place in the commission as well, because if you want to make a representation by yourself, by all means you will be able to go there. That aspect will be looked into. But as I told you, I'm repeating, there are certain other aspects that the parliamentarians in this country have a right to know and expose as to why there has been evasive action on the part of the UNP, on the part of the people who appointed this person to the central bank amidst the controversy disregarding all those.
But, Mr. Rusipala, surely what the people are seeking is action. It's over 2 years, or coming up to 2 years, since the first bond was issued in February 2015. There were repeated denials by Arjuna Mahendran, including one in which he was recorded by the Newsfirst team when he spoke with Shamir Rasuddin. He said he takes responsibility for not informing the primary dealers of the increase from 1 to 10 billion. So there is a real case to answer. But Mr. Rusipala, how much more of this frustration can the people take? And they have been waiting and waiting, and they appear to have been misled by this national unity government that came in on a ticket of good governance. What do you have to say about that?
Mr. Bharat, people in this country have shown so much of patience about this matter. We saw the recent eruptions in the trade union movement and those who were interested in this matter. They went to the extent of surrounding the central bank and going and making representations to the press and governor. You see, there are so many other aspects in this matter which have not been properly investigated, like what they have done to the employee provident fund. Lots of other information has to come out. We are aware from the report submitted by the Auditor General, which very clearly says he has not been provided with the necessary information by the officials as expected. And as a result, he has not been able to comment on how much of damage has been done to the Provident Fund. So let us wait. This commission, I think people have to be patient. This commission at least will bring out those things. The crux of the matter, where the money has been funded from, will arise from that part of the inquiry only.
I see. Well, Mr. Rusipala, thank you very much. You do raise a very valid point, of course, and that it is essential for another inquiry to look into exactly how much of money the EPF and ETF have lost in this whole sad saga, because it certainly appeared that the EPF funds, they were a willing and waiting buyer waiting for various primary dealers to sell them things on the secondary market, when in fact these bonds could have been purchased by the EPF at the primary level, which is why they were granted a license in the first place. It's something that has not gone past the financial analysts and the financial sector in this country, that there is no good trying to hide what the EPF and ETF people did when they were trying to buy into these bonds from primary dealers. That's how.
I think with that we should head into a short commercial break, and when we come back we will have more on the bond scam and investigation that is about to take place by the Presidential Commission. So stay tuned. This is Newsline.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali. Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And welcome back to Newsline after that short break. Well, finally, as we enter the last 3 minutes of this morning's program,
A few questions before we end the show. Well, there has been a lot of questions about what really stalled the debate. The Cope report was brought in and we saw a lot of skepticism around, and we saw the debate taking place, and something really stalled the whole heat of the debate.
Corruption. Corruption is what stalled the debate. There is a profound belief amongst civil society, amongst the public at large, and those in the financial industry, that this is a massive fraud. And there's no two ways about looking at it, Stephanie. It's a fraud, spelled with the capital F-R-A-U-D. And there's so much of cover-up going on that we don't have enough of thick carpets under which to shove all this very sad news. At the end of the day, it's the people's monies. And let's not forget it. Mr. Wasant, for the activist, came on TV very recently, and he told us, he had a very simple theory. He said one company had made nearly 13 million, and the EPF had lost a similar amount. So to him, it was very simple. Perhaps life isn't as simple as that, but there is a genuine and profound belief that the people of Sri Lanka have been taken on one mega ride, and it is the task of this government, this parliament, who promised a return to good governance and a re-establishment of a level playing field, an equitable playing field for everybody. That is what they promised, and that is what we want them to deliver. It's very simple.
And for us, do you think there is a glimmer of hope coming in with the Presidential Commission being appointed into
Absolutely.
the bond scam?
It's the best thing that happened since sliced bread was invented, certainly in the last 2 years. We waited and waited. The people have been frustrated, and it has taken President Maithripala Sirisena to lift us out of this mire and give us some hope. And that hope is that Presidential Commission to look into this very, very sad saga in which our Treasury, the central bank, has absolutely raped the Treasury. And it is incumbent on this Parliament, all 225 members, to look into this and to leave partisan politics on the side.
So which means there is an interesting debate that is awaiting us throughout the day today.
It can be interesting. It can be interesting.
And we can exclusively have a look at it tonight on the Primetime News Bulletin
Absolutely.
at 9 o'clock.
If you tune into the Primetime News on News First at 9 o'clock today, I'm sure you'll be able to follow all those events.
So the Footnote Club will emerge again today during
the
parliamentary
Footnote
sessions?
Club may find that finally their masks of trying to cover up will be thrown into the nearest dustbin possible, because that's what these footnotes are, a mere attempt. And the people cannot be fooled all the time. And I think on that note,
and just a reminder about tomorrow's guest, we will have the Legal Eagle tomorrow on Newsline.
Who is the Legal Eagle tomorrow?
You know who it is. Govinda Asri. And
Mr. Govinda Asri,
yes,
who was unfortunately stuck in traffic today,
yes.
and so he was unable to make it today, thanks to all that road work going on near Parliament. Just to let you know where that happened. On that note, he's actually in the building, but we can't have him here because we've run out of time. But on that note, we wish you a really pleasant day, and to all those parliamentarians who are gearing up for that debate, we wish you too, and we hope that you will ask and debate the right questions and not just sling mud at each other. On that note, that's it from Newsline. Thank you, Stephanie Lazarus, for joining me.
My pleasure, Faraz.
And take care, have a great day, and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.